My name is Joe, but I've been going by Chef Schwasty on YouTube and Imgur as of late. Some of you are familiar with what's going on with me and my neighbors below me and that whole psychotic menagerie. Some of you aren't. So let me give you a brief synopsis. In March of 2016, which is this year, it's being posted at the end of September of 2016, we received new neighbors downstairs from us. Now, this is not a new occurrence. This is low-income housing. It kind of cycles in and out. This would have been, I think, the third or fourth tenants that we've had below us. And I did the same thing every time. I go downstairs, I introduce myself, I let them know, hey, if you need anything, come on up and we'll help out. And when I was informed that they had a small child, I offered them my phone number, saying, hey, if we're ever too loud, if anything is, bugging you, or if the kid's trying to sleep, text me, call me, let me know. We're quiet. That was a big mistake in the hindsight, but I also wanted to let them know that I own and operate an electric drum kit. I don't do it often. At the time, I told her, 2 to 3 times a week, never for more than 30 minutes, and always right around 4:30ish when I get off work. I rarely ever did so on the weekends because I was out and about. So I let them know. She was cool with it. I told my apartment managers when I moved in that I had an electronic drum kit. They said that does not count as an instrument. Didn't sign it on the lease. Everything was cool so far. And also, for those of you not familiar with the concept of an electric drum kit, you hit a rubber pad that has a sensor inside. When you hit the pad, the sensor sends a trigger to the core module. The core module plays a sound, and it can be played either over a PA system, it can be played through a MIDI output into a computer, or, in my case, you can use it with headphones, which it sounds really cool. You can change all the sounds on it. Electronic drum kits are badass. These are really good and perfect for apartment settings, which is the reason why I purchased it, because I get withdrawals. I use drumming as a stress coping mechanism, and it helps me with anxiety and depression, which is something that I had been battling with. Now, the first text that I got from these people was just a few days after giving them my phone number. I believe it was a Sunday. Yes, it was a Sunday morning, and I got the text, would you mind holding off on the drinking, which was auto-corrected from drumming, because apparently whoever makes autocorrect doesn't know what a goddamn drum kit is. However, I was not drumming. I was chopping up vegetables, and before you think that I'm Bobby Flaying with the goddamn meat cleaver, I'm not. I was using a little sharp knife cutting up some onions. So I told her, hey, I'm not drumming, I'm actually cutting vegetables. She laughed it off, it was all great, whatever. Not whatever. Actually, over the next few months, every time I sat behind my drum kit, it felt like I was getting a text, hey, my baby is sleeping, could you please hold off for a while? I would comply immediately, I would stop, I would let them know, hey, if you could do me a huge favor and text me when the baby's up, I would like to get a little bit of practice in tonight. It helps me cope, like I said earlier. It should be noted that as we go along, a lot of the text conversations that I am talking about can be read in the description below. I will post all the Imgur updates, and you'll be able to read all the emails with apartment managers, everything. So, in the spirit of trying to make this brief, I'm not going to read every single text message. You can read those for yourself if you want to, like I said in the description below. But the gist of it being, they became overly sensitive over a period of a few months to the point where I would not really do much drumming anymore. I had a friend that I met who I actually purchased that lovely bass from a while ago. Thank you, Jacob, if you're watching this. So my friend came over and we decided that we were gonna just, hang out and jam for a little while. I got a system of headphones running, a little mixing console, couldn't hear anything. My girlfriend, who was standing 10 feet away, couldn't hear anything, wasn't even sure what if we were even home. In the middle of it, right around 6:30, I want to say off the top of my head. That could be inaccurate, I don't know. Around that time, I got a text message from them and asking, hey, we're putting the baby down, could you stop? Now, keeping in mind that I have gotten at least 20 of these instances just recently at that point, so I kind of felt like I was entitled to say once, hey, we're just going to go for like 10 or 15 more minutes. He had just sat behind the kit, he wanted to try one out, wanted to know what electronic drum kit was all about, and within seconds, this guy was running up the staircase, and contrary to what JK News said, he did not kick down my door. We actually have a very heavy metal reinforced frame because, living in kind of this area, security is of the utmost importance, but he did not kick it down. Instead, he hammered on it like he was the police or something. It echoed through the apartment, scared the crap out of me. I could hear it over through my headphones, which are noise canceling, so, And after a very terse exchange in which he was just coming unglued on me, I explained to him, look, man, I've had enough. I've complied. I've done everything that you've wanted me to. And the one time that I asked for just a little bit of an extension, you do this to me? I've complied. I'm sorry, but I am done. He erupted and then went back downstairs, didn't talk to him for a while. The following week, I was watching Rick and Morty and I got a complaint from them in text form, and I just said, please leave me alone. If you have a problem, go through management. And that's what they did. Can't really fault them for that. I kind of brought that one on myself. I asked them, if you have a problem, please go through management. So I wake up the next morning and find a handwritten note taped to my door saying, please desist your drumming. You can read that note in the description below. Heartbroken, I did. I didn't want to, but I did. Later that week, I believe the week following, I had a friend over, and he and I kind of grew up together, we decided that we were going to play Rock Band. But because I'm so paranoid at this point in time that I really do not want to get evicted, I used headphones, headphone extenders, splitters, everything I would need to. It was near silent, and it was in a different room. This is the room in which I usually did my drumming, in which they said, oh hey, you're above the baby, please don't do that. So after playing a couple hours of Rock Band, woke up the next morning, went to work, came back, sealed envelope on my front door, and a sealed envelope in my mailbox. It was an official noise complaint handed down from the apartment manager, signed by them. So even if the other note that I got, which a lot of people said, hey, this might be fake, this one was real. This one goes on my record. This one kind of tarnishes me for a bit. And at the very bottom, in summation, it basically says, if you keep making this kind of noise, you're gonna get evicted. It was around this point in time where I decided to make this into a public forum issue. I wasn't sure, am I going crazy? Is this just me, or is this kind of like a bigger deal than what it should be? I posted it to Imgur with all of the text conversations asking for advice. After 500,000 views and about 3,000 comments just on Imgur alone, I thought, okay, I might have some credence to my argument here. And then when I woke up the next morning and found out that it had made news in Australia, New Zealand, Britain, Greenland, France, Denmark, Canada, here in the United States, I was in shock, to say the least. Especially waking up and then being contacted, now not on my phone, mind you, because nowhere have I posted my phone number, but through my email, which is, you know, open access. I was getting contacted by CBS, NBC, Fox, the BBC, and Disney for some reason. However, fearing legal repercussion, I really didn't want to do any sort of interview about this, which CBS especially wanted to do something for Inside Edition, that's what it's called, CBS Inside Edition. Kim Dahlgren contacted me, and I did not want to do an interview at the time with anybody because I didn't know what my legal standpoint was. I didn't know, hey, am I going to get sued for defamation or slander? Even though it's really neither, because I'm just talking about the truth, and if the truth is defamation and slander, then we gotta lock a lot of people up. By the way, despite not wanting to do any of those interviews, it got syndicated. It made a lot of different websites, and eventually, as I mentioned earlier, JK News a few days ago just posted a video about my situation, talking about, you know, how unfair it was, except for that one girl who clearly has lost the plot a little bit, but, you know, everyone's entitled to be wrong if they want to. Still, in those moments, not the JK News one, but reading all the news articles and the comments and everything, it made me do something that I otherwise never have done and never would have done without you guys. I stood up for myself. I emailed the management company that owns the properties here. I talked with them several times, and you can read the email correspondences. I asked for a legitimate quantification of noise ordinance. What is being too loud? If I get a decibel meter, is it like, oh, hey, if it's 60 decibels, you're too loud, or something like that. I was asking, begging, pleading for anything that I could use to tell if I was making too much noise or not. Not necessarily just because I wanted to get back at my neighbors, but because I legitimately wanted to know. I had never heard anything like, I mean, I knew it was a rule, it was just be quiet from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m., but I didn't know that I was gonna get harassed for doing something at 4:30 in the afternoon for half an hour. After several emails and waiting for a couple weeks in between correspondences one time because she refused to email me back, the response was that if it can be heard in another apartment, it's too loud. Let me tell you why that's bullshit. There are several different things in the apartment, furnished by the apartment itself, that can be heard in other apartments. I wake up every morning, and I wake up in the middle of the night hearing things run. Here are a few examples. I don't know. Well, first let's get a base. Here's what my drumming sounds like. Sometimes I hear my neighbor's step in the shower. All the time I hear dishwashers running. No big. It's been hot out lately. I wonder what an air conditioner sounds like. Here's a good one. Am I not allowed to vacuum my carpet? I have some pretty terrible kitchen chairs. I mean, those roll pretty heavily. Now, I don't feel like I'm asking for too much to be treated equally. I don't think that this regulation should just be whatever can be heard, because that's pretty blank. I can hear cars starting up across the apartment complex. That being said, I've been near silent for the past months. I cannot afford to move at all. My girlfriend recently just got in a car accident and totaled her car, so we have to worry about that first. But circling back, this isn't really about the drumming anymore. This is just kind of about the injustice of the situation. Do you think if I were to go to the managers and complain about hearing their baby cry all night, or in the early morning, would I get a noise complaint for them? What about when I hear them fighting downstairs? They'll scream at each other. Do you think they would get a noise complaint? Hell, I could hear their TV half the time, but I'm not gonna complain. That's petty. That's stupid. Who needs to do that? That's a waste of my time and my energy and the time of everyone over there. I know how to cope with it. I'm an adult who knows what I signed up for when I moved into low-income apartment. I expect the highway. I expect cop sirens. I expect car alarms. I expect fight. I expect 15-hour-long parties, which was a legitimate thing with our previous tenants, and you know what? I never once complained, because I understand. I cannot afford a house. I cannot afford certain luxuries. I have to live with a whole bunch of other people. And you know what? I'm cool with it. I know what I signed up for. And since my newest complaint, my official one, was regarding Rock Band, do you think they're going into every single apartment around here and enforcing the no Rock Band rule? I don't. So I guess there's only one remaining thing. What do you do when you cannot appeal to your malefactor superiors who are constantly giving you unrealistic standards of living for your own dwelling unit? What can you do when you live in a place where, you know, you can't move because the monetary strain from moving out of this soul-sucking place would put you in financial debt for eons to come? What can you do when you're too afraid to walk through your own f***ing house wearing shoes because you might get evicted because your neighbors are overly sensitive to sound? What do you do? In short, nothing. I've followed all the advice. I've looked at every angle. I've done everything that I possibly can think of. I lost. It sucks, but that's life. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, and I lost. But I understand that this is also temporary. But this isn't a video about pity. That's the last thing I want. I don't want pity, I don't want charity. This is a video thanking all of you. In this entire thing, I have learned a few important lessons in standing up for myself. Normally, I never would have stood up for myself, but because of all the kind comments, all the kind emails, the recipes, the Snapchats of adorable animals, everything, all of the love and support that I've received from every single one of you has given me this renewed sense of, well, one, faith in humanity, and two, self-worth. You don't really realize how much it means to have thousands of people back you on a simple issue. It doesn't feel like it should, but it's made me feel immensely better, and I'm indebted to every single one of you. So, that's it. I lost. This is my final update on the whole neighbor saga. I appreciate you sticking in there with me. I wish I could have given you a better ending, but this is it. Eventually I will move. I'm not confined here forever, and this entire thing will become a funny story that I can tell my friends around a campfire when I'm 40. And in this, like I said, I've learned several things about myself and how to conduct myself, and I've met several people through this as well that I'm going to cherish for a very long time. In the end, I believe this to be both a positive and humbling experience, and I wouldn't have traded it for anything. And finally, to reiterate, thank you. I really couldn't have done it without you. Postscript. No, I'm not gonna cut a hole in the floor and shit through it. Yet. The month that I move out, everyone's invited. It's gonna be a non-stop party. Thank you very much for your continued support, and I wish you all a good day.